A few days ago, NASA sent a new satellite into space and it's called PACE. What it will study for us, it will give us information about the plankton in the oceans, aerosol in our atmosphere. It will help us study the clouds and also ocean ecosystems. If you study at school climate change, how ecosystems are adapting to the changing world, you know that we need data to have a better understanding on what's happening. A lot of what we discuss on the planet ever so often are information based on research and data that were collected sometimes a few years ago or sometimes decades ago. So we always mean, no, we always need new data to make sure that we are having the best way as possible. So here the launch was February 8th, so that's 2 days ago. So here we have a Falcon 9 rocket that was sent into space. So let's see if I can here look at some information. So a couple days ago, there we go. So we have a Dragon 9 rocket from SpaceX that sent the satellite into space. It was supposed to be launched last year. There were some delays, and then earlier in the week, but then the weather was not the best. But on February 8th, at about 1:30 in the morning, the launch was successful, and here we can see that the satellite was able to leave the rocket. Now, it seems that I don't have any more information since February 8th, but here it seems that we have NASA that was able to reach information and reach the satellite. So let's see, why is this thing interesting? So last Sunday and last Monday, we had a panel of people telling us the beauty of this mission. So let's see if we can discover that a little bit more. So, by the way, I'm going to let's see if I can put the information into the comment section. So if some of you want to have a look, you can have a look with us. So when we go here in the science section, let's see if we can have an overview. So here what we have, so I mentioned, we're going to study plankton, aerosol, clouds, and ocean ecosystems, all based on the visible light and the interaction of visible light with our beautiful planet. So here, when we have light coming from the sun, the light is interacting with our atmosphere. There's some reflection, refraction. So here we're studying electromagnetic waves that our eyes can see. It will help us better understand our ecosystems. So first of all, when the light comes in contact with our atmosphere, let's see if I can put this one a bit bigger. There you go. When we have the light rays interacting with our atmosphere, we will be able to understand the gas content as well as particulates, so little fragments, dust, pollen in the atmosphere, and we'll be able to better understand that. On top of that, there are always interaction of light with our atmosphere. Don't forget that the atmosphere, we have nitrogen and oxygen. We know that. But there's an increase in carbon dioxide concentration. There's an increase in how much dust, how much aerosols, gases that are in our atmosphere. So some of you will say, well, how do we know that light can actually interact with our atmosphere? I'll give you an example. If you look up in the sky and it's noon, you'll notice that the sky is blue. The interaction of the light rays in our atmosphere is interacting with the atmosphere, and what we see is the color blue. But we also know that if the sun is rising in the morning or setting at night, we also know that there's a change in colors because we have nice sunrise colors. This morning, I think it's on Thursday morning, we had a nice bright orange sunrise. It was amazing, but also the colors of the atmosphere was affected. And in the sunset, in the same way. And the reason for that is here we have light that is traveling longer, like a longer time in our atmosphere, and therefore having more interaction with its content. There you go. So the gases, water vapor, clouds, and so on. So this is something we could see when we look outside, but we can indeed study. The next one we can look into is water leaving radiance. As the light gets onto the ocean, there's a reflection back. So that will give us an idea of what is basically what information we can get from the ocean with respect to what's at the surface, but also microorganisms and algae at the surface of the ocean. Keep in mind that as we have algae in the ocean, this, they need sun for photosynthesis, and therefore this is important. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a moment. The last bit is about oceanic contributions. So here, as light goes into the water of the ocean, there's some light that will be reflected, some light will be refracted and then reflected back up. It will help us better understand the surface water of our planet. Now, interestingly enough, if you're interested in global circulation in the atmosphere or ocean currents, I will put here a link to a video I did last week on atmospheric current and how atmospheric current is affecting ocean current and how our environment can be affected. So you see, it's interesting. Perfect. Let's go back. Perfect. So this is the first picture. There's a couple of nice pictures that I have here. So here they mentioned that the study is about the visible light spectrum. And the reason for that is that it will be easier to see changes, but it will also be easier to analyze for more people. So here's an example of sargassum. So here at the surface of the ocean, we have all these algae that can affect boats, that can affect living organisms, either positively or negatively. Indeed, we have a couple pictures that were amazing here. So here's an example where we have land, and here we have an ocean. So here we can see, I don't know if that's an ocean. They don't say where it is. Oh, that's the Arabian Sea. So here we have a large body of water, and you could see here that when we have precipitation, we have nutrient going into the sea, and these nutrients are creating algae blooms, and therefore we can see the effect of the algae blooms in the water. And then here you can see the surface water currents that are affecting where the algae are. The next thing that is interesting is that we can also study the clouds and aerosols, keeping in mind that clouds, if they are in the atmosphere, let's see if I can go here. So if we have a planet with clouds, light will go on the clouds and be reflected back into space. So therefore, that energy is not staying on our planet. However, if we have clouds and energy comes on the ground is absorbing some energy and reflecting some of that energy back into space. However, clouds can create a reflection for that energy to be pushed back to our planet. So clouds allows us to decrease how much energy comes to our planet, but also create a situation where clouds can create a greenhouse effect. And this is important to study. And aerosols gives us, so every molecules have a different behavior or let's see, consequence when light is interacting with those molecules. So studying that will help us to know how much of those particulates or aerosols are in the atmosphere. There's another beautiful picture that is, let's see. So here's the same thing. So we can see here we have a picture we'll be able to read. So how much algae is at the surface, keeping in mind that algae at the surface will collect either CO2 from the atmosphere, but it will also create oxygen, but it's also affecting what's happening in the sea here. But here you can see, oh, I need to share the picture. Very nice. So you can see here, we can see how the algae patterns are, and we can study that. We also have glare. Indeed, if you have sun reflection on the ocean, that could prevent some more understanding on what's happening on the surface. So here, the whole idea here is that satellite will help us having better data. And here you can see some clouds on the surface and some clouds here that is affecting how light is interacting with our biosphere. Perfect. There's something else I wanted to share. Oh, yes. In these, the panel was discussing on Monday that the precision is about a kilometer square. So when the reading will come to us, it's a kilometer square. So that means we'll be able to study better the seas. Now, with what's happening on land, with lakes, for example, or what's happening over cities, it will be trickier because you have to work with kilometer squares. So smaller lakes will be harder to work with. Smaller cities, smaller towns will be trickier. However, I'm kind of curious to see how we will be able to look at the data above cities, for example, pollution and so on. So this is all something that will be exciting. Keeping in mind that, so let's see if we can go back here. They showed the panel. I think it's this one here. So that's the panel. This lady here explains so many amazing things. And if you go on the NASA website, you'll hear about that as well. So if you are thinking of, if you enjoy science, what you'll be able to see is that new satellite is sent. The panel was mentioning that we should be able to receive data given to the public in as early as 60 days. So by mid-April, we should have data from the satellite. Now, this is important because if you look at the information here, we have a section that is called applications. And here we have early adopters. So if some of you are interested in new data, something to better understand our planet, create better models, you could decide to do an application to say, okay, I have a project, I want to be able to use the data to help humanity. So here you could see that some of the projects that have been accepted is about global micro air qualities. We also have risk management with respect to algae in the ocean. We have mapping wetlands, agricultures. We also have aquacultures. So a lot of interesting projects that will come on. And on top of that, with the AI that is ongoing right now, there's a lot of tools to be able to interpret a lot of data. So I believe that this project will bring us new ideas, new models for the understanding of our planet. So if you're enjoying ecosystems, if you enjoy climate, how things are changing to make sure that all the population of our planet is thriving, this is a great way to get with the new data and have a better understanding of what we are. If you've enjoyed this video so far, don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel. I create science videos every week. So we have our live here. I do edit those videos, this live into smaller videos for my YouTube channel, because the more we learn about science, the better we are. And in the meantime, I'm going to put here a link to a video that I did last week on global circulation to better understand what's happening in the atmosphere, what's happening in ocean current, and you'll enjoy that. So I'm going to see you in the next video here in a moment.